Welcome to On the Rocks, Montana, where I'm going to take you with me through my adventures in the Rocky Mountains in North America and the United States. So here is some footage of some of the beautiful fall colors we just have had in the last few weeks. So these are some of the trails I will take with my dogs and look for rocks. So rock hunting or rock hounding is when you go around your area and you look for specific rocks. And I get a lot of questions about which rocks are good rocks and which ones to look out for. And there are lots of books available for specific rocks in your particular area. But I always say the rule is if you think it looks interesting, grab it. You are the judge of what rocks you like and which rocks you would like to clean, polish, and make things with. So here are some of my finds from the trail. They don't look like much. They are usually very dirty. They are rocks. So these are little pieces of mountains that I'm holding in my hands, made up of different kinds of minerals and mineral compounds. So I'm going to take you through making these rocks beautiful. So just kind of checking out. You can see some lining, striping here on that one. Trying to see if there's jasper in there. So just lots of different kinds of rocks. So here we go. The first step, so I find rocks everywhere I go and keep them in bins. And I'm about to do a cycle with some rocks. So I'm going to pick some that are the same size, and similar hardness. You want to put rocks together that are, you don't want soft rocks and hard rocks. You want them to follow the Mohs scale of hardness. So that's what I'm doing, kind of going through some coral. All right, so I've chosen my rocks. I have them here. Here's the before picture. They look dirty. I can see some really pretty colors in there, but we are going to wash them in just a minute. So the sun is not in my favor for this shot. Lots of shadows, but you can see some pretty pinks and reds, little quartz in there, some jasper. All right, so I start by washing them. You can already see as soon as they're getting wet here, their colors are becoming more vibrant. That's kind of a trick to, if you go out rock hunting, to bring a little spray bottle, squirt gun, something with you so that you can squirt the rocks and try to get their true color and see what you may have. So now we're bringing the rocks back inside. You can skip this step. I wanted to do this step this time. So I'm using borax, and I'm going to clean my rocks. All of this is getting ready to put them in the tumbler so they can tumble around and remove all of the cracks and stuff. In the rocks, we want them to become smooth. So if they have dirt on them, it's not necessarily a bad thing that they're in the dirt's in the tumbler with them, but I really want to control what's in my tumbler. I don't want dirt or extra loose rocks in there to be chipping away at the other rocks while they're tumbling. So I'm kind of taking the extra step of really scrubbing them and getting the dirt off. I don't do this all the time. Showing you some of the rocks have some iron striping in them. I really like seeing them when they're wet before they get tumbled to see what characteristics might come out in the rocks. All right, I'm done scrubbing the rocks. So let's take another look at them. Now I have my barrel. This is the barrel I'm going to place the rocks into, and this is where they'll be tumbling for a couple weeks, 1 to 3 weeks, depending on how long it takes them to become smooth. So we want to notice all the jagged edges, and we are wanting to get all of the edges and everything on the rocks smooth. So I'm going to use my rough medium here. I'm adding some other things to tumble in there, like glass marbles. I want to fill the space with my rocks. There's no wrong way to do this. Everyone has their own way to do this. So I'm adding some water. You want to just barely cover the top of the rocks. I'm adding a little more of my rough grain there. So I have my marbles and my rough grain in there. That'll run for a week. So I'm sealing up the barrel here. And it's all ready to go. Time to put it on the tumbler. So once I push start, you'll see it begins rotating. So we just leave it. In about 3 days, I will let some of the gases out. Sometimes gases can build up. So here we are at, this may be a week. So at 1 week down, we can see how gray the water is. I'm going to pick some of the rocks out to see how smooth they are. I want to check to see if it's time to move on to the next step. And by knowing it's time to move on to the next step is if the rocks are smooth and round. So I'm looking, and what I'm looking for are cracks. We want to get all of the cracks rounded out. So I am seeing that there are still rough edges and still cracks, but I do know the rocks are getting smaller as they tumble. So I want to add a little more of my marbles here to fill in some of the space, so they're not banging around too much. And the marbles can also get into some areas the other rocks may not be able to get into. I'm adding a little more of my rough grit. And time to seal it back up. I've noticed that there is some debris in my seal there, so I'm just going to wipe that out. I would want to make sure water and everything's not escaping. I could probably empty some water out of here. It's pretty full, but I don't want to lose any of the buildup that's already in there to help them rough out. So I'm sealing it back up, making sure it's tight and secure. Making sure it's not leaking is pretty full. And time to put it back on the tumbler. All right, thank you for watching On the Rocks, Montana. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button so you can see the next episode, and let's see how these rocks turn out.